So what is the best type of cardio for fat loss? Now, the way most people approach cardio for fat loss is they're here at A, fat, and want to lose the body fat and essentially get lean. So they need to get to B. But what they'll do is they'll go heavy amounts of cardio at a high intensity and also at a high impact. So they'll be able to do this for a certain amount of time, but then what will happen after maybe just 2 weeks? Well, the high intensity won't be something that they can keep up. So they fall off. The impact also is not something they can keep up because their ankles are fucking battered, their knees are battered. And then on top of that, it also spikes their appetite. Most people will go at set and do high intensity forms of cardio, or they'll do running outside or swimming or some other domain like that. And what will happen is they'll make a bit of progress, they'll be able to withstand it for 2 to 3 weeks, and then it's just so unsustainable because your appetite's through the roof. You've also got like fatigue that is just built up over the time doing it, and you just can't sustain that level of intensity. And what happens is you just end up quitting and you're back to the start point of where you originally started from. Now, I'm going to give you the solutions to how I approach cardio, and trust me when I say I use cardio as a very, very big tool in order to get these level of results. Without cardio, I don't believe I would have got these results without truly starving these men. And that is not what we're about. Cardio is a beautiful tool because cardio will allow you to keep your food as high as possible in the gym. So for context, if you're new to the channel, my name is Tom Sergi. I run the Gorilla Platoon, which is a physique transformation program, and I've utilized cardio with all transformations to actually get the end result. So I'm going to show you what has worked so well for our guys that's allowed us to retain so much muscle and build some when we're ultimately doing a recomp or a full-blown fat loss phase. My promise to you is, if you give this video your full attention, you'll know the most efficient ways to use cardio to get shredded. Because that's all it really is. The goal is you wanted to get shredded or lean, whatever, and cardio was the tool, but people think cardio alone is what will get them shredded, but it's not really as simple as that. If you're not already subscribed, subscribe right now. If you've watched previous videos and you found value in them and you know I deliver the goods, then subscribe because you're obviously going to get recommended more videos like this. And props to you, by the way, if you're keen for clicking on unedited, just lecture style videos, you're obviously the type of person that actually is serious, wants to learn, wants to make gains, and not someone that's out for some dopamine like, why have I got a shiner? And it was from sparring the other day. So we're going to do so in understanding a 3-step process. We're going to understand, remember why we use cardio in the first place. Cardio I would actually avoid and why, so you can stop making mistakes, essentially swimming upstream when you're trying to get shredded. And then what cardio, the intensity and the frequency to actually get results. So let's remember, why do we use cardio in the first place anyway? Well, if you want to get shredded, you need to put yourself in a negative energy balance. It's the negative energy balance that is going to get you shredded. So do you even need cardio to get shredded? Technically speaking, no you don't. You could get it solely from your diet. However, the problem with that is what I've just spoke about before. You can only, so you will give yourself a certain input of calories, that will give you a certain response. It will work until it doesn't, because the body will get used to it and you'll plateau out and you'll stay at this point. In this example, actually, the graph would be going down here for fat loss. So what do you need to do? Well, you need to create, you need to pull from some form of a lever. If you're not doing cardio, you can only pull from food. Food goes down even lower. And ultimately, what's going to suffer if you keep taking your food lower and lower? Your gym floor performance. Don't expect to keep the tissue on the physique if your food is going lower and lower and your gym floor performance is suffering as you get leaner. Because ultimately, that was never the goal, never what you wanted. What you wanted was to be bigger and leaner. What you didn't want was just to be a smaller version of yourself. And just scraping your calories lower and lower will ultimately hinder that. So that's why cardio, we need to use it anyway. But cardio is a tool. Cardio is a tool to enhance the negative energy balance. Cardio itself will not get you shredded, not in that context. But cardio will be there to create a bigger negative energy balance. Now, one thing I would say you should do is make sure you're adding in an overall step target to your overall plan. Let's assume you're doing that, and today we're only going to speak about formal cardio. So Just to reiterate, cardio is used as a tool to create that negative energy balance to enhance the fat loss. Meaning then you can keep food as high as possible for as long as possible, because that negative energy balance is coming from the output that you're doing. You can then allocate more carbohydrates in and around the workout so that your gym floor performance is still climbing nicely up on a week by week basis, building and at least retaining tissue ready as you get lean down to the end of that transformation, which is what you truly wanted anyway. And just as a side note, this isn't specifically for getting you lean and shredded, but you should really do cardio every week anyway. Like whether you're in a gaining phase, maintenance, or cutting down, you should be doing, let's say, at least 3 bouts of 20 minutes per week, because you just want to keep your heart healthy. Like, I think that's something that I program for all my guys. You should definitely be doing cardio on a weekly basis. Keep the heart healthy. You know, if you're in a gaining phase, you're getting bigger and bigger. I would look to be growing that heart bigger as well, because it's going to have to oxygenate and send blood to all of those newly growing muscles. So don't neglect your cardio. Remember, it's a tool that we're going to use to enhance the negative energy balance. Now, with the negative energy balance in mind, what cardio would I look to avoid? Well, what's going to hinder us being in a negative energy balance? The first one will be appetite. If your appetite is through the roof, I don't care if you're David Goggins, you ultimately will struggle to stay adherent over the long term because you're just so fucking hungry. What types of cardio spike appetite? Swimming. Ever been swimming after it? Starving, right? So swimming maybe, although it's non-impact, might not actually be the best thing to use unless you've programmed it accordingly. Running outside also may not be the best thing, because it does also increase appetite, but what happens there is you accumulate too much fatigue, and accumulating too much fatigue would be the same as appetite. It would hinder our ability to maintain that negative energy balance over a long period of time. Where we're fatigued, we can't continue to do something day after day after day, and ultimately if we're fatigued, would that be better or worse for our gym floor performance? When you're looking to diet down and get shredded and do a body recomposition, your overall goal is to maintain that gym floor performance and improve it week on week. That is sacred. That's going to be the difference between you looking how you actually wanted to versus just looking a smaller, leaner version of yourself. That was never what it was about. So your gym floor performance is fucking sacred. You need to do everything you can to make sure that you uphold that standard. And if you're going in fatigue because you've been out running too much, then ultimately it's going to be a problem and you're not going to be able to push the numbers in the gym. So it's something that we definitely do need to consider. Something else that's to consider is HIIT, high intensity interval training. Now you could do this on a assault bike and it'd be non-impact. The only downside with HIIT training is very, very similar to resistance training in itself. So a lot of people, well, the way I program cardio, remember it's a tool to create that negative energy balance, and it's something that we're going to want to do daily. So once it's in daily. You're not going to be able to hold the standards of daily HIIT training, which means you can try and you're going to bolt it on the back end of your workout and it's going to be trash, or it's just going to create so much fatigue that you're not going to be able to maintain it over the long term and you'll just be wiped. Or you could program it on a rest day, and I've got 2 caveats to the points I've just said. I've got a client that really likes running. He finds it great for mental health. He really enjoys it. Now, I'm saying running is not the best piece of cardio that you could use. However, if we got him to run on his rest days, he's following a 5-day training split, on his 2 rest days, and he ran 20, 30 minutes on those rest days, would that be a bad thing? Maybe, but what would be better for his overall adherence? To take it completely out, or to just have it in and deal with the fatigue that it did accumulate? I think for someone like that, it's actually better. If it's going to help them adhere to the plan, then it's no bad thing. Now, don't take this out of context. Oh, I'll just eat chocolate then. It's going to help me adhere to the plan. Chocolate won't. Chocolate is so palatable that you'll just keep wanting more and more and more. But if we can keep the athlete enjoying the plan, he's more likely to stick to it than if I completely eradicated it. Now, that doesn't mean he can run every day. That means on his rest days he can run, but his other days he's going to need to do something non-impact that's not going to affect the gym floor performance. On a side note to that, I said HIIT can also be an issue, but speaking from my own experience, my cardio sessions now, I'm in a gaining phase, I do 3 a week, and at least 2 of them, maybe the third as well, are done doing Muay Thai in the gym. So it's either pad work or sparring. Is that higher intensity than what I would normally do? I would say so. Yeah, of course it is. When the rounds are on, when you're actually working, it's of course it's higher. But again, it's programmed on my rest days, so it's not something that affects my overall gym floor performance. And in context, I'm having a lot more food, so I can obtain the energy expenditure that's needed. I can replace that. It's not the same as if I was dieting down. So to summarise, cardio to avoid: running outside if you can, only because it's going to accumulate a lot of fatigue through the joints where the foot is just slapped against the floor. Swimming because it's going to increase the appetite, and also any form of high intensity interval training unless programmed on a rest day. Likewise, all three of them realistically, if it's going to help you adhere to the plan, could be programmed on a rest day. But I'm telling you, once cardio goes in the plan for my guys, it's not coming out. If anything, it's going up. It starts at 20 minutes and it continues to grow. So it's going to be done daily. So what I'm saying is these three elements of cardio cannot be used daily in order to get the transformation. Clients will accumulate too much fatigue, clients' appetite will go through the roof, and ultimately adherence will not be obtained and they will fall off. So that's why I would avoid those three elements of cardio if you can. So now, what is the gold standard approach to cardio? Well, it's something that we can do daily. So straight away, you're going to look to utilize some form of non-impact CV equipment machine. My favorites are probably incline treadmill walking, bike, or the cross trainer. They're the three I would recommend. Now, in order to not accumulate too much fatigue and not impede workouts, you want to keep your heart rate around 120 to 130 beats per minute, but don't start the actual counting of the minutes until your heart rate is up at that point. I found, I've ran it and tested it myself and used it for all the clients as well. That doesn't accumulate fatigue, and it's something you just can do daily. So it's not an issue at all. With this style of cardio, it needs to be progressive. Like, I will start you on 20 minutes daily. You can bet your bottom dollar you're going to be on closer to 45 minutes daily towards the back end of the transformation. Can you progress running outside on a road? Not really. Can you really progress the HIIT training? Not really. Can you progress this? Yes, absolutely. So this is why this is gold standard approach to cardio and utilizing it as that tool for fat loss. You can do it daily without accumulating any fatigue. So that's straight away the frequency of it tick. The intensity of it, we can measure it, 120 heart rate to 130 beats per minute. All of these CV equipment machines, unless you're in like a really old school gym, you put their hands on, it's going to give you a rough heart rate reading. Maybe not bang on accurate, but we don't need it accurate. We need it within 10 BPM anyway. So we can measure it, we can track it, we can track the intensity, and we can play with the intensity. If you're doing, like, I wouldn't know how to program what intensity to do with your swimming unless you had your own heart rate monitor on, but then that means making clients go out and buy heart rate monitors and all this other bullshit. I don't even own a heart rate monitor. I used to when I was in the paras and when I was doing PT for the army, but I honestly don't hold one anymore. Now I just use the machines and it's just easier to track and use. And the last thing we'll say is it's progressive. You'll start on 20 minutes. We'll, again, going back to it, we'll pull that lever. Remember, so you're this much calories and you're on this much cardio and it's getting us this response. Now we've plateaued out, we need to make a change. Cool. Well, I want to keep food exactly where it is, but I'm going to increase your cardio to allow us to get this response. And then as a result of that, bang, we get a response, the weight drops. We rinse and repeat this now. This amount of calories, 30 minutes cardio. Still dropping. Perfect, don't change it. Another week goes by. Same calories, with same cardio. We start to plateau out now. Right, what are we going to do then? Well, you've got two options. You can either decrease food if it was still high, but ideally I wouldn't be doing that yet. I'm trying to go 40 minutes cardio. This would only be an issue if you don't have the time to do it. If you don't have the time to do it, then that's unfortunate. You're going to have to pull from food. What we used to use as well when I worked at the gym in Dubai, we'd utilise a lot of steps. So steps would go up and be higher. But I also appreciate it's not as much bang for your buck as the formal cardio because it just costs a lot more time, a lot less calories burned. What's the benefit of steps though? You physically just don't get tired doing them. You don't accumulate fatigue. You can do other shit while you're doing them. So they are a very, very good tool. As a minimum, you want to be ticking off 10k a day. maybe in the real back end of the transformation, when cardio's already pushed to 60 minutes and you have got a spare half an hour, you can bump it up to 12 or 13k a day and decent. You can walk your way shredded 100%. I've done it in the past, but I just appreciate it's not the quickest, and it costs a lot more time. This approach to cardio is I would argue it ticks all of the frequency, intensity, and also the efficiency of it, and being able to scale it up. So that is my answer on which cardio tool is best and how to actually use it. And also remember the principle. It's a tool to enhance your fat loss. It's not the cardio itself that will get you shredded. I hope you found this useful. If you did, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, and if you want to work directly with me, there will always be a link in the description for you to come and get a result that looks like one of these. Thank you for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.